What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Tuesday Morning Quarterback. I'm Brandon Kramer. He is the legend Brian DeGennaro. How are you, Brian?
Fantastic as always.
Another great week of football in the books, and let's just get right into the greatest segment of all time called Tuesday Rundown with Brian DeGennaro. So
let's go, baby.
Let's get started with the Buccaneers losing to the Bears 20-19.
Old man forgets how many downs there are.
That was so fucking funny. And he actually tried to prove a case, it's fourth down. No.
Shut up. He's going senile.
Cardinals beat the Jets.
All I'm gonna say is fire Adam Gase immediately.
Raiders beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead for the first time in 8 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except for losses, apparently.
Rams beat the football team.
Alex Smith strikes back. He's back. First time in 2 years. Looking
comeback player of the year.
Not great, but still.
Eagles lose to the Steelers.
Carson Wentz is garbage. He's so bad.
Exactly. Texans beat the Jaguars.
Okay, see, this is what happens when you fire your god-awful head coach. Jets.
Giants look at that too with the GM. Ravens destroy the Bengals.
Good team beats bad team.
Panthers beat the Falcons.
Again, another team that fires their head coach when they suck. Jets.
Dolphins dismantle the Niners.
Fitzmagic returns. Also, Jimmy Garoppolo is not a good quarterback.
Not at all. Colts lose to the Browns.
Classic Phillip Rivers. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Just chucking the ball up like it's some ground beef.
And then the Seahawks beat the Vikings.
What the fuck is Mike Zimmer doing?
Exactly. I still question that. I was watching that the Seattle game. I'm like, I don't care that they said, "Oh, the stats said it." I'm like, fuck the stats.
You sound like the Yankees there. The stats said we should pull our starter in the 4th inning. But
stats. So let's go into probably the biggest and honestly scariest headline of week 5. Sunday afternoon, Giants Cowboys. Dak Prescott had a horrific injury. He was, for those who may not know, I'm going to keep this as non-detailed as possible. He was designed QB draw, I believe. Logan Ryan came to tackle him from behind. His ankle got caught. Let's just say it was a compound fracture. It's bad. Prayers to Dak, but yeesh.
Yeah, it's a rough injury. It's a really tough one to come back from too. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out with his contract and everything. That was already a huge issue coming into this season. It's awful. You never want to see someone get hurt like that. I know you're a big Giants fan, but I'm sure you don't like seeing.
No, especially Dak. It's very hard to not like Dak. Him coming out in the offseason talking about his battles with mental health. But also if you see all around the league, everyone was of course sending prayers and positive vibes. But the reactions the day after, Shannon Sharp went off on Jerry Jones in the Cowboys front office because the franchise tag is where your team is in a way betting against you, and they won. And he also said that if Tony Romo was the quarterback, he would have gotten an extension. I don't know how much, and I'm saying this is a Giants fan. I hate the Cowboys. I don't know what the Cowboys were doing and how much more Dak had to prove in order to get that deal. Now look at him. He was only paid for this year, and of course the insurance will help him. But what is his future with Dallas now? Obviously he's you should have fucking paid me. Look what I did, or look what happened.
It's a tough blow for him. It really depends on how fast he can come back and if he can come back. That's a really tough injury to come back from. And we saw it with Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith's injury was worse, but it's a similar type of injury.
I think the last person to have one is Tyler Lockett. He had one. But it was it was a dislocation on top of that for Prescott, and he had surgery that night. So
that's rough. But yeah, I mean, you hope that he can get back to the way he was and prove himself once again. Hopefully, he gets another shot in Dallas. I mean, who knows? They might move on from him at this point. But it's just it's a terrible situation. It sucks that it got to this point. It sucks that he didn't have a contract at this point. He's earned it, honestly. And yeah, I know you just got to see what happens going forward.
Yeah, I mean, no one feels worse than Logan Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be tough for a defender.
That's why they got rid of the horse collar tackle, because that's why that's what happens. But as we said, prayers to Prescott. But speaking of Alex Smith, so we all know Dwayne Haskins was benched and then sent home because he had the flu, and Kyle Allen gets absolutely destroyed by Jalen Ramsey. Fun fact about Ramsey, he got fined for his fight with Golden Tate. Golden Tate didn't get a single fine. Good job, Roger Goodell. Honestly, first time he's done something correct for ever. Take notes, Manfred. But Smith, he comes back for the first time in, what was it?
Like 690 days, something like that. It's been almost 2 years. Yeah.
I mean, how can you not root for him? I mean, his injury, I don't know if you saw the documentary they made. They actually showed some graphic pictures. I mean, he almost died from this. It was like Theismann. I mean, this is also why, same thing with Prescott. Thank God quarterbacks are wearing high socks, because that saves us from some eye trauma. I mean, he had, I think, over 30 surgeries. Didn't know if he was going to keep his leg. And honestly, welcome back to the NFL, getting sacked 6 times. But
hey, I'm sure it felt great for him. Honestly, like, he's just happy to be back in any capacity, and it's just such a great story to see him come back and make it back through that. It's unbelievable. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do that.
It's hard, really, not to just. I mean, honestly, if he doesn't play another snap for the rest of the year, give him comeback player of the year, because the odds were against him entirely. I mean, over, I think it was like 30-something surgery, something like that. And I mean, he just did not quit. I mean, it's insane. And you just can't. It's hard. Same thing with Prescott. I mean, I don't think anyone could honestly hate Alex Smith, no matter what team he was on. But it was just finally great to see him get rewarded. Honestly, give him a chance to start, because it's better than Kyle Allen.
Yeah, man. I mean, he was a pretty decent quarterback when he went down. So who knows if he can recapture some of that? That would be such a great story. Imagine he comes back and he's like good again. Like, I would love to see that.
Hey, we'll think about the Giants. Love Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones needs someone another year on stocks. Hey, maybe we're tanking for Trevor Lawrence. But speaking of Trevor Lawrence, actually, the Falcons. What was it? How many years? What was it, Super Bowl 51? Was it? Whatever.
I just remember they choked big time.
28-3. They were a quarter away, most likely, from winning the Super Bowl. They looked like surefire, even if they didn't win. Oh, they didn't win that game. They'd be great next year. They choked the lead, and it started, honestly, one of the worst downfalls of a team in recent memory. I mean, and Falcons, of course, again, dropped a game yesterday, 2 days ago. And they finally fired Dan Quinn and their general manager.
See, but that's what you do when you're a bad football team. You have to have a culture change. When the head coach isn't performing the way that you want him to, you get rid of him. And I don't know why the fuck the Jets can't figure that out. But, I mean, it's just a product of poor management, terrible ownership, and the lot. But I mean, good for Atlanta. Now you can start over. Now you have a clean slate. It sounds like they might move on from Matt Ryan because they're not set on him being their quarterback of the future, which is honestly probably the right move, because I've never been that high on Matt Ryan. I mean, he had that one MVP year, right? And then that's been okay. Nothing spectacular. So I mean, in this day and age, teams want a quarterback that's going to carry the team. You get guys like Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, these guys that are like tremendous quarterbacks and make everyone around their team better. And Matt Ryan's not that guy. So, it's a good first step for Atlanta. It's good to see them making a step in the right direction, and, be good to see where they go from there.
I mean, Matt Ryan at one point in his career had Roddy White, who some could make a case of being a potential Hall of Fame wide receiver. I mean, still great wide receiver. And Julio Jones. At one point, he also has, what was it? Michael Turner, that running back as well. Then when Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman were a two-headed monster, I mean, but then and say you look at Russell Wilson. At one point in his career, Russell Wilson had Jermaine Kearse, Doug Baldwin. That was mainly it. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's never had a great team around them. Most of these great quarterbacks don't usually have a great team around them because, you spend so much money on the quarterback and then it's hard to spend money on the rest of the team. You see guys like Aaron Rodgers never has an offense around him. Pat Mahomes has a couple of playmakers, but generally does it himself, And so, I mean, when you have a great offense around you and you're only mediocre, that's not a good sign.
I mean, it all just goes back to the year after they choked the Super Bowl. You have 4 shots on the goal line, and you don't throw it to Julio once. I mean, here's a ball. Here's
Bad coaching. Bad coaching. That's a play right out of Adam Gase's playbook right there.
I can tell you're a huge Adam Gase fan.
Fuck him, piece of shit.
I have a quick question for you.
Oh, great.
Do you think the Falcons should entertain the idea, but do you think a team, let's say they put Julio Jones on the block, if they want to blow it up and rebuild, I mean, of course you'll get you at least get a first. Do you think they should entertain that idea? I mean,
at this point, yeah. I mean, especially here's the thing: if you're gonna try to keep going at it with Matt Ryan, then I think that you don't entertain that idea. But if you're gonna start over with a new quarterback, absolutely, that's the move to make because then you got to build around your young quarterback. There's no point in having a star wide receiver if you're a first year quarterback. I mean, it's always good to have for development's sake, but like as far as winning goes, you want to build a team around your quarterback. You want to spend those resources in the right spots, and having a star wide receiver might not be the best place to do that. So absolutely you consider that if you're getting rid of Matt Ryan.
I could see potentially him going they're probably not going to trade him, but if that were, I mean, imagine Julio Jones on the Bills.
Shut up. I hate the Bills. They're so annoying. Josh Allen's not a good quarterback and they just like suck him off there all the time, but let's not get into that now.
Fire Adam Gase.
Yeah, fire Adam Gase.
But luckily this weekend, except for Prescott, injuries seem to have not been as rapid as they were in week 2. Thankfully, we've had a lot of schedules. Like back to now, COVID, they're fucking up the schedule. I mean, as of now, as of the time we are recording this, the Titans and Bills are gonna play their game.
Yeah.
But it's
how many games did the Titans miss? Was it just one or
just one? And then their second game has been pushed back.
Tuesday, yeah. So I mean, that is what it is. I think that from the start, NFL probably should have built in at least one extra bye week into the season, knowing that this was going to be an issue at some point. But for whatever reason, they didn't. God knows, probably for money's sake. I don't know. But I mean, in a case like this is okay. If you miss one game, you have to push the second game back, fine. Any more than that, I think you got to start. There has to be forfeits. Like if a team, if a team catches COVID and they can't get healthy, especially in the case of the Titans, who apparently were running illegal practices. They weren't supposed to be practicing, and they practiced off-site, and then it continued to spread. I mean, you got to start talking about forfeits because we can't have this during the season. It's just going to push everything back. It's going to be a nightmare. So,
exactly. And before we wrap up, there is one great matchup next week: Brady, Rodgers.
That's not a great matchup.
I'm talking about name-wise.
You got a top 3 quarterback against a 50-year-old
who doesn't know how many downs there are in football.
Doesn't know how many a 50-year-old with dementia. So I think I'm going to take the Packers in this one.
Oh, that's honestly, we're just going to end it on that. That is a perfect note to end it on. That's actually there's only 2 4:00 games next week. Jets and Dolphins.
And that's going to be a great game. I wonder which game I'll be watching.
Hey, who knows? Maybe that game could be rigged. Guess we'll find out.
Every Dolphins game is rigged. Didn't you know that, Brandon?
I didn't know that. Anyway,
apparently.
Take care, everyone, and stay safe.